We have an opportunity to build pretty much whatever we want when it comes to the marketing services industry. There is no obvious barrier to success from my perspective. There's no company that we couldn't work with, there's no product that we couldn't offer if it's what we want to do. So it really comes down to what ideas sit within the organization and what skills sit within the organization. If we can bring in the right ideas and we can bring in the right skills, we can do pretty much whatever we want. If you look at what the customer wants, what the customer really wants is a marketing guarantee. It's to be able to say, I'm going to spend this and I'm going to achieve that. I mean, that's what, ultimately everything is, 10, 20 years from now, that's what things are working towards, is we will have enough data that we'll be able to model an idea before we even execute on it, and to be able to say there is a X% probability of success, and therefore based on that I'll invest Y pounds, dollars, euros, whatever it might be in that activity, knowing what the outcome really is going to be. And so for an organization like us, it's really a question of picking which areas of that opportunity do we want to be a part of. Next 15 is about trying to not just build a business that has revenue, but build a business that has real growth potential in every market in which it operates. And so what you see in terms of positive growth is where we have businesses that are really modernized and are making great progress. Where that growth isn't evident, it's simply a case of we are going through a work in progress to modernize those parts of the organization. We work with the very best companies that exist in North America. We work with Google, we work with Facebook, we work with industry giants like IBM, Cisco, Lenovo, and we work with major corporations, Unilever, American Express. These organizations are very forward-looking when it comes to their marketing, and they want organizations that can keep pace with their growth. In fact, if anything, they want organizations that can exceed their growth. If you look at one of the major advertising groups, they have all of this legacy business in traditional advertising, and they really cannot afford to transition quickly to new forms of marketing. If they do, their cash flows dry up and they really struggle. For us, we do not carry that legacy, so we can be very agile and move where the customer needs us to move. We don't look at acquisitions as, some big conglomerate might, which is simply a case of, oh good, we can boost our earnings by buying this little company and that little company. I think we feel that if we got into that trap, we would be much less focused on the long-term quality of the talent that exists and the opportunity that exists, and become way too short-term in the way that we approach it. By approaching it the way that we do, we build assets that last. You look at a business like Outcast, you look at a business like M-Booth, you look at what we've built with Beyond. These businesses, are far outgrowing any earn-out model and delivering far higher growth because of the fact that, they just weren't bought with the traditional mindset in place. Lots of organizations can fall into a trap of hiring themselves. But the marketing industry is an increasingly technology-driven activity, and therefore that brings with it a whole new challenge in terms of what type of skills you bring into the organization. We now need to bring in a pretty broad array of skills, and if anything, our challenge is one of expanding that array but remaining focused. I mean, it's that sort of conundrum of how diverse a skill set do we bring into the organization and still keep it manageable. We need to bring in great developers, we need to bring in ethnographers, we need to bring in statisticians. There's all sorts of very unusual skills that need to be there within the organization. And it's simply one of creating the right balance for the different parts of the business. But sitting at the heart of that is great, strong cultural fit. Culture always wins. If you bring in people who are going to destroy the culture of an agency, they will destroy the culture of an agency. It's that simple. We're working with, arguably the most important technology companies that exist and arguably the most important non-technology companies that exist. Certainly brands that are incredibly forward-looking outside of technology, brands like GE, brands like Unilever, brands like American Express. So we are nowhere near the end of pace of change when it comes to how technology is changing the way that we live, work, and play. And as a result, we are absolutely not even close to the end when it comes to how technology is going to change marketing. So from a Next 15 perspective, continuing to see a very strong, very fast growth North American business, that will continue for quite some time. There's really no reason that should slow down. I think our UK business, in the second half of this year, will see a very strong return to growth. Asia is doing well. The growth there is modest overall, but that's partly driven by currency. But you're seeing some parts of our business doing exceptionally well. And I think the same will start to apply later in the year when we get into mainland Europe. And Europe is further behind everything. There are some economic headwinds that exist in those markets. And adoption from a technology point of view has been slower in some cases when it comes to marketing. But we take a very long-term view of this, and we are utterly convinced that the patterns that we've seen in North America will eventually repeat themselves in the other markets around the world. So therefore, at a very basic level, if we just keep doing the right things, keep working with the best companies, keep hiring the best people, we will continue to grow at a very good pace.